All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another office hours session. Today, in the second half of the call, we'll be covering or going over the intake process again for any new staff who may be onboarding. But we'll start by, I don't really have too many updates to go, or really have any updates to go over on this call. So we'll go ahead and open it up to Q&A, or if there's anything outside of the intake process that you'd like for us to go over and walk through. We're happy to go over that on our call. So we'll open it up for any questions. You can add those to the chat or unmute and ask away, or yeah, like I said, if there's anything you'd like for us to walk through, we can go ahead and do that. All right, well, if not, we'll go ahead and get started, but I do want to share a couple of resources first. So this is our within IllinoisWorkNet.com, this is our partners page, and down below, and you can get to this. Maybe just go to our homepage. We have IllinoisWorkNet.com. And if we click the partners icon over here, that'll take us to our partners page. And if we scroll down to this section right here for program guides, for partners, we do have pages for ClimateWorks, Navigators, and Workforce Hubs. And each of these guides are set up with the same structure. So for this one, this is the ClimateWorks. We have our introductory text and links to the system, policy documents, and our quick start guide and quick start instructions. Below this, we have this all resources section. This first icon, this will take you to the CEJA reporting system. This page, policies and procedures. This will take us to all the instructions and related resources such as the procedures manual, other documentation. It's broken up by the different sections and components of CEJA. So Chapter 1, Introduction, Chapter 2, Equity and Program Culture, and so forth. And clicking each of these hyperlinked links here, this will take you down to that part of the page. And this is what we're going to be looking at today, adding customers into the system and different sets of instructions and other documents here. On going back over here, the technical assistance tutorials and videos, this just shows the upcoming and past technical assistance webinars. So those TA Tuesday sessions and the office hours that we have here. We can see what the upcoming schedule is for these sessions. And if we scroll down to this next table, we'll see past recordings of the sessions, presentation slides, and any other documents that were shared during the call in this archive section over here. And then our last tab over here, Partner Tool Updates. This is a listing of the updates that we push out with each sprint update release, and it just a list here of those updates that go out to the production environment. And then right below this all resources section, we have this is our quick start guide. So we have as walking through the system, we have adding outreach events, partners engagements. Number 2, 3, and 4 at least we'll be covering today for adding customers, completing pre-screening, completing the application, intake assessments, sending referrals, career plans and services, and then the completion follow-up information. And we just have a list here of the different action items you can take in the system. What we're walking through in these instructions that we have linked here for this section, and then off to the right, we have a short video just walking through that part of the system there. And so just wanted to share those resources here. And let me add, actually what I can do is I can add all the links into the chat here that we have. And let's see, so we got our Climate Works. There's part of the pages. And Navigator Guide. We'll get that link here, and then we'll get started on our demo for intake. Okay, so I just added those links to the chat there to the partner guides. Some of these windows, and okay. So we are now in the CEJA system, our test environment. And so if we were in the partner guide and we were to select either this link right here to access the system or this first icon, this will take us to the CEJA system. And so for intake, to get started, what we'll do is click to add customer to this button right here. And then we can just fill in the required information for the customer. And we'll enter in the name, date of birth, number, email address. Let's see, address information. And the type, and we'll say inquiry. And we do have, we have this right here that no email address is, as a required field. But if the customer does not have an email address at the time, you can select no email address, and that will allow you to proceed in the system. But I think if we do that, then that requires, yes, the date of birth as a required field there. But okay, so then we've selected inquiry, and then I'm logged in as a Climate Works grantee. This first drop-down selection community partnership, that's the primary grantee, and then this Zion College, that's the sub grantee of community partnership. But we'll select provider, and we'll go ahead and click submit. And this will open the pre-screening window. We'll have more information to fill out. Let's see here. Test environment can be a little slower at times. There we go. So we get the application consent language here, and then we can go through that and then check the box for I've read consent to the customer, and they agree. So we'll check that box and click save. And then we'll fill out the pre-screening. So we begin with, so the first, if this person does not wish to be contacted, we can check the box and then close this window here. But we'll proceed with this customer example. So first question is, do you need any accommodations to complete this pre-screening or application? For instance, we have translation services, audiovisual accommodations, etc. If we select yes, then we have a text box where we can add what those accommodations are, those that are needed. We'll see that the information we've entered for name, phone number, email address, and date of birth have carried over. And then we'll just fill out the rest of this window here. And so first we have, how did you hear about this program? And we'll check the applicable boxes. Are you interested in working in construction or the building trades? You're interested in working in the clean energy field? If yes, then we get the question for which of the following clean energy industries are you interested in learning more about? And we'll check the applicable options there. And if we select other clean energy career, then we do have a text box that can be filled in. Are you interested in applying for an apprenticeship program? And then are you willing and able to put in the time required by this program? We have language here just to describe the time commitment for Climate Works or Workforce Hubs. And then we have a question if they're experiencing any barriers that would keep them from attending the training. And there's a service needs assessment that we'll complete that can, help address some of those challenges that they may be facing. So we'll click yes. And the address that we entered also pulled over here. And then we just have a few more questions in this section. Have you ever been incarcerated for a felony misdemeanor? Have you had prior involvement in the criminal legal system? Are you a graduate of foster care, currently in foster care? Are you a displaced energy worker? And do you have other barriers to employment? Okay, and then we have a demographic section. So these questions here, what racial or ethnic groups best describe you? Veteran status. And then do you have a high school diploma, GED certificate, or high school equivalency diploma? And based on the selections above, we can see the customer pre-screening results. We've answered, yes or no, or even if we say, prefer not to say for one of the questions here, those answers, will populate here. And then below in the table, we can see, what programs that they may be eligible for and what criteria that they are meeting. And if they were not eligible, you would see a red X in this column for that program. Okay, so we're almost done with the pre-screening window. We just have to fill in a few more. So for program drop down, we'll say Climate Works since we're logged in as that. And then for pre-screening results, based on our options above, they do meet the pre-screening requirements. Then we can select either not participating at this time or interested in participating. And then we have our provider here. And we'll enter the pre-screening date, today's date. And then we have a follow-up date that we can add here. And any additional notes can be captured in this text box. But once we have all this filled out, we'll click submit. And then we'll get to the add applicant window and this information will pull over and then we'll just need to confirm the email address. And then we'll click the button to search for existing applicants. And so what this is going to do, it's going to check to see if there's, it's going to check to see if there's an existing account in workNet already. Maybe prior to any CEJA participation, they had created an account with workNet. And this system will check to see based on their name, date of birth, and the email address provided if there's any potentially conflicting accounts. And if there are, it'll a message will pop up that will show different usernames in question. And when you do see that, please submit a help request ticket, and we'll go over how to do that. And we will work to resolve those account conflicts so you can proceed with the customer in the system. Let's see, so we'll click search for existing applicants. And in this case, there were no conflicts. We have the username and password that was created for the customer here. And we can click this button to complete the initial application with the applicant. So we'll do that and we'll click the button to proceed. Okay. And we'll see that the information has pulled over into the application. We'll just have to fill in some of these other questions. So do you have a social security number? We have the option yes. If we select that, we'll then need to enter in and confirm the SSN. And once this is entered and we go to the next screen, this will be encrypted, so it will be safe and protected in the workNet system. And you would only ever see the last four numbers again. So that's just wanted to let everyone know about that. But then we also have the option, yes, but I don't have my card. And if that's the case, then we can proceed. And then, we'll say yes, but I don't have my card. And below the address information, we have our phone number and then the primary phone type. And then we'll select what type of phone that is. If there's a second phone, that can be added here as well. And below date of birth, we have what sex were you assigned at birth on your birth certificate? How do you currently describe yourself? Are you authorized to work in the US? And then we have the racial or ethnic groups best describe you. That question and answer pulling in along with these other ones here. And we'll just confirm this is all correct. And the application submit date. If we needed to change this, we could, but we'll go ahead and click save and go to the next page. And this will take us to the eligibility check screen. And we can see that this customer is eligible. So in this first section here, the customer must have a high school diploma, GED, or HISED, and they are authorized to work in the US. And then at least one of the following criteria: lives in an R3 area, lives in an environmental justice community, is formerly incarcerated, or is in foster care, or has graduated foster care. We have at least one of these met. And then at least one of the following criteria must be met for age. And we're meeting that age requirement. So we'll click continue to intake. And this will take us to the application summary page. You can see all the information that we entered. If we needed to update this information, maybe there's a typo in there, name or email address or phone number, that can be updated by selecting this return to demographics and contact info update. If we click this, that'll just take us back to the application form over here. We can make those changes and save them. But then we can sign the application down here as well in the system. And so we'll click sign as case manager. And what we can do is we can enter in our workNet login information to sign the application. That's one option. Another one is to send a link to the customer. So you can copy this link, email it to the customer, and then they'll be able to sign it with their workNet username and password as well. And then the third option we have here is upload signed application. So if this was printed out, signed by hand, you can select this and then upload the file, enter in the signature date, and have the application signed that way. But in this case, we'll do the username and password. And we'll see that our name for our workNet account and the date have populated over here. We'll click the button to return to intake. So this will take us to our intake page. In the first section here, we have is completing the application. We have a link to view the pre-screening information that was entered. View application completed on. And if we do that, if we select that, that'll just take us back to that application summary page. And then completed and signed, we have the date that was there as well. If funds are required for completing intake, maybe those accommodation services, we can check the box here, and that will prompt us to leave a case note. And if we uncheck that, that would also prompt us to leave a case note there. In the second section, we'll add a career assessment. So we have the assessment date, and then what is your current or most recent employer status? So if we have, I have not worked before, this will be my first job, then some of the questions we have here will be hidden. But then if we select any of the other options, we'll have those to fill out. So I'm employed, I'm self-employed, employed but received a notice of termination or layoff, unemployed and have been actively looking for work, and unemployed but have not been actively looking for work. We'll say unemployed, and then we will fill in the information here. So hourly wage, employer name, the start date of employment, end date if applicable, job duties, reason for leaving if applicable, and then some jobs have lifting requirements. Please indicate whether you're able to lift this amount of weight. And question on standing requirements. Many of the apprenticeship programs require people to stand for long periods of time. Please indicate whether you're able to stand for long periods of time. So we'll select our option here. And then we have a couple drop downs. We have career goal. We have a list of options here that we can select. And we have a secondary career goal. It'll be that same list, but that can be added as well. And I believe if we add, it's this last one here, other construction related, yeah, we'll get a text box where we can elaborate on that response there. And then we have our other specific careers you're interested in pursuing. We'll just need to select at least one from all of these checkboxes below. And the last question, I'm interested in learning about clean energy careers. We can check the box there. And we'll click Save to add the career assessment. We can see that that's been added. And if we select this, it will pull up a summary window of the information that we entered. Okay, and then we have the service needs assessment in this next section here. So we'll click this button. And that will take us to our service needs assessment. And we have questions to, for the customers in the system, if or in the program, that there's funds available to help with any challenges they may be facing. And it doesn't affect their chances of joining the program. And so in these different sections, we have questions on accommodations and student services, technology assistance for virtual learning, transportation, child or family member care, assistance with housing, food, healthcare, legal assistance, financial literacy, mentorship, application fees, and other support services. And we'll go ahead and answer the questions. And if we answer them in a way where the customer might need assistance with that. So for example, transportation, if they do have concerns that could affect their participation in the program, then this will open up some more questions here. And so select all that apply. So maybe they just don't have transportation. And so if once we check the box here, we'll get a recommendation, review local community action agency, faith-based organizations, or American Job Center services. And if this is something that we can provide in-house, we can, say maybe driver's education lessons. So we'll check that box. If it's something that needed to be provided by another organization, this is where we would check the box for referral, but we'll do that for another one down here. And so we'll check the boxes that are applicable. And if there's any additional comments or notes, those can be captured in this text box here, but that is optional. And so let's say they also maybe needed assistance with housing. Do they have housing concerns that could affect their participation in the program? Yes. Maybe they need financial assistance with housing. So we have the recommendation again, but if this is not something we can provide in-house, we'll check referral for housing assistance, and we'll need to send that referral through the system. Answer the remaining questions in the service needs assessment. And we'll click this button to submit and save the changes. And once we do that, we can see that the service needs assessment has been completed right here. And if we needed to make any changes to, so if, before I get ahead of myself, if we click this right here, this will show how we answered it. We can see transportation. We'll have in-house support and then referral for housing assistance. And if we needed to make changes to this or update the service needs assessment, we'll click this button here and we'll see the original answers that we had, and then we can update that accordingly. And once we make those changes, we'll click that button to submit. Okay, so that was number 3. Let's see, number 4, customer status application. If, at this point, or maybe we didn't complete a couple of these assessments, but the customer, decides they don't want to participate in the program, we can check the box, customer declined to participate. We'll click OK, and we'll see that their status is updated to non-enrolled, declined to participate. If this was checked by accident, we can uncheck this, and they'll go back to the status of applicant in the system. And before getting into the transfer section, I do want to point out this progress page over here. So let's see. So it is 11:30 now. Okay. So I'm just looking at the timestamp here. So this progress page and the flags, this is looking at the data in the system as of 11:25. We have made some changes in the last 5 minutes because we did complete the service needs assessment. So, as you're working and updating customer information in the system, if you see in this page that something doesn't look quite right, the flag should be different, or there should be a different word here. Take a look at this because it might just not be updated. We do have an overnight sync that will automatically refresh this, but that takes place in the evening. So if you're you want to make sure the changes are reflected, we can click this refresh status button and it will reload the page here. And so we can see, that first one for intake, this is now green for good. This was attention, but we've now completed it, so intake is good. But then referral status is now attention because we need to send and address the referral here. And let's see. And then also, down here, service needs assessment is now yellow because we'll need to address the driver's education lessons that we said we could provide in-house, which we would do in the career plan section, which I think we'll be covering in our next office hours. But we can talk about the referral. But I also wanted to point out, too, that next to each of these kind of section headers here, we do have an info bubble that if we click this, it will just show for this section, it'll explain why flags are the color that they are. So in this case, if it was green for good, the referrals would be sent and accepted or rejected. They would have been responded to. In this case, it's yellow, which means it needs attention. So we see that referrals have been sent and we're still waiting to hear a response, or we have we have an open referral that does not have a response yet. If this is red over here, then that means that we're still waiting to hear back on the referral, and it's been more than 10 days. And so that means we'll then need to follow up and make sure that that gets addressed. And if it's gray, then that means no action, no referral required. So if we complete the service needs assessment and no needs were identified, then this would be that gray no action box. Let's see. So we'll go to the referral tab, and we'll send the referral for housing assistance. And so what we'll do is click the button for referral, and we'll select. So if we select search organization, this will show organizations that we've previously added for referral. But if you click search and you don't see any options listed in here, then we'll go ahead and we'll need to add those in. We can add those in by selecting the new organization button. So we'll select the provider and enter in the referring organization. Test 10, 22, 25. And then we can add a description. We'll need to enter in the phone number and the address information. And there's also a field for URL, but we'll click save. And then once we've added that in, we'll then select the button to search. And we can see this organization right here. So we'll click select, and they'll appear right here. And then we'll need to select a contact. If we click search, since it's a new organization, we don't have any contacts added. We'll click new contact and enter in the name here. And phone number, email, and job title. Click save. Got the contact added, but then we'll need to select them. So we'll click search and select. Okay. And so then the last part of sending a referral is identifying the services needed. And in this case, we said a referral for housing assistance. And so we'll find the one right here. We'll check the box for housing assistance. And if there's, we'll select the applicable options here. And then there's an additional note that can be sent to the referring organization, and I might try and pull this up to what this email is going to look like once we send it here. Give me one moment as I log into the account that's going to get this test email. So when we're ready, we'll click submit referral, and that contact we added will receive an email. And then when this reloads, we can see the referral information that was sent. See the status is pending. If we needed to view it, we can select this button here. And we'll see that summary information. If we needed to cancel the referral, we can do that by scrolling all the way down here, entering a reason to cancel the referral. Maybe it was for a different customer, or it's no longer needed. You can enter that information in here and click the cancel sent referral button. But it's up here. In this case, let's see. The contact, David, will receive an email that will look like this. And so they'll see the customer name, that referring organization, some language about the referral, and then a link to view and submit referral response. And if they select this link here, now it's going to open another tab. Let me copy this link here. So if they open that, they'll see, and they don't need a WorkNet account to respond to this, but they'll get a link where they can respond in the system. So, we have, again, that summary information about the referral, the customer, what the service requested is, and then the status here. So they can then, work with the customer to address this. And based on the selection that they make here, that will appear on our end in the system. So let's say, customer assessment completed. Let's say customer service initiated. So we are working with to address the assistance. So we'll click submit, and then we'll see in our system that has been updated. We might need to refresh this window here. Okay, we can see when we refresh this that this is accepted customer service initiated. And so if we go back to our progress page and refresh the status, we should see a couple changes here. Yeah, we see this is now good and green. And we're, all squared away there. And, sometimes we do have a workaround in the system to, show that this is resolved because, maybe, David, did accept and initiate the services and they're working with the customer to address that. But, David just didn't respond to the email that, was sent and didn't, make that change in the system. What you can do is when you open the referral, you can click close referral, and that will, show in the system that, this has been, addressed. And so you don't, rather than just having, a yellow or red flag that's, just sitting out there, you can, make that change to show that the referral has been, has been dealt with. Let's see. Well, we're over here. There were just some other things I wanted to go over. If you need to reset your customer's passwords, their WorkNet account at any time. Of course, they'll log in with their username. You can click the reset password button and update the password there. In this profile section, we just have summary information about this customer. And let's see, and then participant summary tools, we just have links to the different sections within the CEJA system. If there's any supporting documentation that needs to be uploaded, this uploads page over here. This will take us to an area specific for the customer that you can upload files as needed. And then back to intake. Just see here if there's anything else to go over. I know there is. I think the transfer section here. Yeah. So, maybe we've completed this, but Mark no longer wants to participate in our program, but perhaps another ClimateWorks grantee or Workforce Hub, or we need to refer them to a navigator. What we can do when they're at the applicant level is to check this box to transfer customer to a different navigator or grantee. We do have a note here, if the customer is enrolled, please close their services and update their training completion status to withdrawn on the program completion follow-up tab. It's right up here. But then once they're, either they're an applicant or withdrawn, we can then transfer them. So we'll select a program. If we select ClimateWorks, we'll then see a list of the ClimateWorks grantees. If we select Workforce Hubs, we'll see the Workforce Hubs grantees. And if we need to refer to a navigator, we'll then see, of course, the navigators that we can select from here. In this case, let's say refer to navigator, and then we'll select navigator. Let's see which one. And Revolution. Let's see, customer assistance from there. Open navigator advantage. Revolution. So then we'll submit the transfer. We'll click OK. And then let's see here. And if we, I know we selected Navigator, but if we did select a ClimateWorks or Workforce Hubs grantee, they'll receive an email that will look like this, and this just shows, community partnership. That's the grantee we're logged in with for ClimateWorks, has requested that Mark be transferred from community partnership to Advantage Revolution. And so everyone who has access in the system to this Navigator Advantage Revolution, they'll receive an email. We can see that list here. And there's a link to if we select this here, again, as a navigator in another window that I'll pull over. Selecting that hyperlink will take them to this intake page, and they'll see a button here, respond to a request. And we'll see that again, that Mark's indicated preference to work with Advantage Revolution, that we can accept or reject the request. In this case, we'll accept. We'll click OK. And then if we go back to our, oh, wrong one, customer list here, we'll then see that Mark is with Advantage Revolution as the navigator. And then the navigator can then, work with the customer to identify, a different ClimateWorks or Workforce Hubs, grantee that they'd like to work with. So then we could select Workforce Hubs, Richland, and then we'll say, Mark would like to enroll with the Richland Council Workforce Hubs program. Submit the transfer request, and then let's see here. I'm going to switch over to Workforce Hubs account. And let's see. Okay, so that's S tester 3. So then I'll receive that, the Workforce Hubs grantee will then receive the email. And if they click the link, that will take them to the respond to request, or the intake tab where they can respond to the request. In this case, we'll accept. And then and this is our Workforce Hub grantee. So then when we search for the customer, we should see them, and the provider, has been updated from community partnership to Richland Council. Training program is Workforce Hubs. And then at that time, community partnership, S tester 1, will no longer see that customer in their list. And we'll just go ahead and do a quick search over here to confirm that. And we can see, no data available in table. So that means the customer has been transferred over. All right. I think that about covers the intake process. And we got about what looks like 12, 13 minutes left. Are there any questions on intake or anything else? Yep. Hi, Julie. Got your hand raised.
Hi, I do have a really quick question. When you transfer somebody, this is something that was for a climate Oh, wait, hold on a second. I gotta think. If we're transferring somebody, we had a student who was transferred to another location for training, but their navigator stayed with us. How can we get them to switch to a different navigator? Is that something that has to be initiated on the other end?
If you had, let's see,
Yeah.
if they were,
So they were our student here at the Alt Hub, and they're now with down in the SWIC with them, but
mhm,
the navigator did not switch, and we don't know who to
okay.
switch it to because that would be 360.
Yeah, let's see. Because the navigator, yeah, would stay the same if we switch them to a different location or a different
That's what I
provider.
wonder.
And then, yeah, if we needed to change the navigator, but we're not sure which one that would be, I think I would probably recommend reaching out to the regional administrators, but let's see, I see we got Larry and Michelle on the call here. But yeah, that's a good question. If, we, let's say, Mark here, is added in, the Navigator Advantage, we said Richland Council and Workforce Hubs, but we need to transfer Mark to a different provider, maybe a different program too. Um, do we need to change the Navigator as well?
Yeah, do those have to be transferred separately?
It would have to, yeah, it would have to be transferred separately. It doesn't, transfer both at the same time when you initiate a request. Um,
Yeah, hi Julie, it's Michelle. I'm trying to think through how or why we would need to transfer the navigator. So maybe I need to just go back and brainstorm with my colleagues. So
Yeah.
what's your
So
situation, Julie? What
just to
navigator are they?
clarify, yeah, so it's SSP, and they have students that are coming up in there um, as still part of them being the navigator for them, but those students are not part of our program at all. They've switched to a totally different hub, which would have a different, and even the Higher 360 is the navigator for all of our um, climate work students. So, and I think sometimes when these students are put in, they go into workNet the way we do it, um, so that they can do the screening and then they realize they want to do climate work. So then we have to switch over to Salesforce and do everything that way for Hire 360. And they still stay in our system under ClimateWorks, even though they technically, I've got probably 100 and some files that are actually all in under our hub work for our WorkNet, who actually belong technically to Hire 360 with us being a subcontractor under them, sub
So Julie,
provider.
do you think you and I can just hop on a call
We can, yeah. I
right
just
sometime this week and just you can walk me through what so I can really
Yeah, I'm
understand what
trying to
you're
kind of clean it up. I started an email to you that I'll send to you, and then you can connect after you read it. So,
okay,
yeah,
that might help
just
me
trying.
if we can
Okay, yeah, just
hop
kind of
in
trying to
there.
figure out what to do with all these kind of extra people that are put it into indirectly into our numbers because they're in Illinois WorkNet, but they're not really our students in terms of the being the provider. They belong to 360, and then we do the training for them. So we're a subcontract under 360 for WorkNet, but we're a
Right.
primary for, yeah.
No, right. I just need to understand
Okay. All
how
right.
you're
I'll get with you
how
on that so we
that's
don't have to use
flowing
everybody
and
else's time.
clear.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
yeah, that's a good question. And actually, that makes me think of something else I do want to note with the transfers and transfer requests. And we're working on an update that we should have in a couple weeks here that when the transfer is accepted or rejected, like we showed in that pop-up window, that then a follow-up email is sent to that organization, saying your transfer's been accepted, that customer is now available in your list, or the transfer request was rejected. If you have any questions, reach out to your regional administrator. But I do want to highlight again. I know I've mentioned it on previous sessions, but just to make sure that those transfer requests are responded to. In addition to the email, and sometimes emails go to spam or junk folders. But in the dashboard, we do have this first row here. Looks like in this case we don't have any that are pending. Respond to transfer requests. And let me try a different login here. Maybe, let's see here. Login is my super admin account where I should see any and all transfer requests that are pending in the system. Okay, so we got 5 here. So yeah, if your organization or the organizations you have access to have pending requests, transfer requests, you'll see this number here. And you'll see the list of those customers. And so when we select their name here, and then on the intake tab, we'll see that button respond to request. So in this case, let's say Ernest is staying over here. So we'll reject that. And if we refresh this, we should see this go down from 5 to 4. There we go. And so, just for everybody, Navigator, ClimateWorks, Workforce Hubs, everybody who has access, just to be mindful of this in any event that you're not receiving the emails regarding those transfers, because we do want those to be responded to in a timely manner. And if the request has been initiated and there's you're still waiting to hear back, you can reach out to your regional administrators and I, and we can work to make sure that transfer gets responded to. All right, we got 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions? Is there anything our regional administrators would like to share with the group before we end our call this morning?
I don't have anything.
No, I don't have anything either. But thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and get this recording posted to our partner guide page. And if anything comes up, please reach out to us and we'll follow up. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.